2019, 2019 twice, 2020.
Became president, I wrote it to him, you know.
Yeah, the problem, right? So when I started, he reached out to me too, because, another.
So I just have to say that he's been trying. He's been trying since 2018 to get recognized.
Dr. Gandhi was, this firm was represented by counsel, by legal counsel.
So could I touch on that for a second? Yeah.
To responded without offer, we haven't heard from them, and we recently, when Gerald was here, we sent another offer again, and that's.
So let me touch on that.
What we are ignoring, we have our offer even now.
Right. So 2019, and I kind of want to touch about something just to connect dots. Dr. Gandhi retired. He sold his company. According to Dr. Gandhi, you have a relationship with that company that if ever we compromise, which we're not touching about that right now, we would be paying that company that bought the property, and you have a relationship with them, and they would pay you off a certain percentage or whatever that is. But obviously there was a period of time where, when did you retire, in what year?
2020. I mean, I sold in 2020, April 30, and then I had a one-year continuation contract with COWI of Denmark, you know, the company that purchased Gandhi Engineering.
Right.
What is the company?
COWI, COWI Consulting Inc.
Okay. So.
It's in his memo.
And I'm not going about the lump sum again because we already talked about it. And I know you talked about corruption, and I kind of want to talk about that just briefly. Anything that is corruption, I'm just going to, obviously this is just transcript and goes right to the IG's office. But is there anything, if you want to talk about it briefly, please do. And then is there anything you think that we could do as an organization to prevent that type of behavior to reoccur? So first, like, if you could explain what you think is corruption, and I think you stated really eloquently in your emails that people who are corrupt don't send emails that they're corrupt. So if you could explain, like, what made you get to the conclusion that there was corruption?
Very first day.
Yeah, from the first day.
First day.
Yeah, please.
This is in 60 years that I'm in this industry. I mean, people say, well, in government there is so much, but there was none except this was the second case in my life. The contract specified that the field office, that whatever he brings it in, the contractor should have a toilet and a sink with a running hot and cold water. Now, that requires him, the contractor, to bring whatever trailer here, get a permission from the DEP to connect the toilet sewer connection, get a permit from the water department to connect to water department. I'm just talking about it would cost him $10,000.
Is that a normal request, by the way, or is that like?
No, it's a requirement of the state.
Okay, it's a requirement. Okay.
It's also size based on there are A, B, and C types of field office, depending on the size of the project. For larger size job, there is a bigger size office. Furniture, they tell you how much square foot area, how many furniture, how many tables, chairs, conference tables, filing cabinets. They all specify. So there was, for this type B or whatever the office that was specified for this, we were required by the specification to put US New York State specifications, which we used, and so that specified type B. I'm just using the type B office.
Okay.
That said, you had to have this X number of square feet, furniture, filing cabinet. He brings in this field office trailer, had nothing of none of these things, you know. And so
how did that translate to corruption in your point?
Right away, so we asked, okay, there are two ways you can look at it.
Yeah.
You can look at what's the rental of, let's say, $5,000 for type B office and $5,000 to $3,000 for type A office, whatever it is. You say, okay, since you gave me this type B instead of type A, the difference is $2,000 a month or $500 a month. We're going to deduct from your monthly invoice. He would not allow us to do that.
I see. So basically, you have recognized that there's, like, if I want to make sure I understand what you're saying. So they brought in a field office that is much cheaper than the one that they should have used.
No connection, like I said.
Without like a toilet.
But they invoiced for a much larger one. You reported it.
If he had to do it, he would have to spend, I'm just throwing the number in, or, you know, he would have spent $5,000 to get a permit from the New York City DEP, DOT, I mean, you know, to dig up the street, connection, sewer, then he has to disconnect all these things up to the job is connected. It's a ton of money that he would do that.
So I just wanted
And
like,
so it would be required to do that?
Absolutely.
yeah, but then you guys reported that they're not doing it, and REAC, or someone in REAC said, no,
Well,
no,
the first day, I mean, again, as I said, this is not a rocket science.
Right.
I mean, the type, and this guy had already worked, the guy that we had proposed, had already been 35 years in construction industry in New York City. Right away, he knows that this is not what meets the specification of New York State field office.
right,
So we said, how about taking credit,
Right.
either.
Deduction, right.
Either get the field office that's required, they provide us a toilet and all that running water sink, and he doesn't want to do any of these things.
right.
Then we, so.
Well, he doesn't or Noon does it? 'Cause isn't Noon responsible to work with the contractor to get all this in place?
And I didn't catch the name of the contractor. I think
SCF.
this is SCS you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering about, who's the point
Noon
person?
was
Right,
the COO.
right.
Steve
Yeah.
and his,
Noon was the guy.
So from your understanding, I see, so like, if I'm getting this correctly, it sounds like that from your understanding as a professional in the industry for many years, you believe that they were saving funds by basically putting lower quality items or lower quality deliverables and reporting as if they're reporting the higher quality ones, blowing up the expenditure.
Again, we cannot, I'm just saying, because we had no, we had been, as I said, on other jobs with DDC, even smaller job, we had 3 people watching and
Right.
monitoring the work.
Right.
He would give us only one person there.
Is that the reason you think that, is that why you felt that they only allowed you to have one person, so you can't
I
have?
have no doubt, okay? I mean, the person who is corrupt knows how many ways he can help the contractor.
Do you think it's possible he just didn't know? He was just trying to save money wherever he could, and because he was an architectural, agricultural engineer
He was
from
a
my,
landscape
and he,
architect.
landscape architect, thank you. And he may not have known all of these rules,
Right.
and when you pointed them out, maybe he didn't realize, I don't know.
I with all.
I'm trying to find another way.
Yeah, I'm
'Cause
trying to, like-
I know he worked on the Cornell project before
And by the way, I'm
this,
not trying to target specific people,
Yeah,
it's more,
yeah,
okay, so from an
we're-
organizational level,
Why,
He worked for Cornell.
let me put it
Yeah.
this way, if he were honest, he would tell the contract, SCS, get the
Reduce
hell
your
out of
cost.
here and get me the
Okay,
office
yeah.
that is
and
required.
same applies for the flag people, that there were
Yeah.
flag
I
people
mean,
that were
I'm
not.
just saying, it was
Yeah.
every step
Right.
of the way.
I got it.
Every step of the way, he was favoring the contractor. The only, as I said, this is the only second case in my life of 60 years. First case, I could see anytime he did a favor, he would go in the field office with the contractor, come back with his pocket full of money.
So let me, so
Was there
I'm,
anybody from?
No.
Was there anyone from REAC? Or is there
That's
any, is there
Mr.
any
Noon.
corruption that you saw at REAC?
No, I'm just saying is, nobody writes a note in his diary or anything,
Right.
I mean, I'm just saying.
I want to be very clear.
And I-
So you're saying that the general contractor, you suspected them of
Let
corruption?
me say quietly,
Sure.
Yeah.
I need to understand what's going on. So you're asking.
Yeah, I just want to be very clear, when we're talking about corruption, or is it your position that there was corruption at REAC in any way?
No,
During any of this?
no. All this, up to that point, I dealt with 11 other people, with honest engineering and architecture, one-on-one dealings, I mean, I had nothing but the respect, as I said, with the people
Okay.
that I dealt. 11 guys I dealt with, except one person that I dealt with, this last guy.
Mhm.
So, and question was so obvious. If he understood the specification, says, hey, SCS, either get the office or give us the credit. I mean, one way or the other, and he would not do either way. Same
talking
thing.
about
So, Noon, I believe he is saying.
Yeah, he is
was
saying
a new,
Noon.
on
Noon
on
and-
part of Steve Noon, who worked for REAC.
So you're saying someone from REAC was in the pocket
Yes.
with this corrupt
Steve
contract?
Noon.
That's my
That's,
suspicion, okay?
yes.
And as I said, I got a bald head and a gray hair to prove in construction industry.
and I don't wanna dive too,
Unsubstantiated. This is unsubstantiated.
Absolutely.
It's just his professional,
According to Dr. Nagano.
it's his professional point of view.
Professional
Right.
opinion that
Yeah.
this is happening, but it's
Right.
unsubstantiated.
Right.
No, absolutely, I
Yeah.
can't vouch or anything. I didn't get any transfer.
And just to be clear, we're not investigators either, we hear this information, we send it to the IG's office, and they dig into whatever they think they need to dig into. So I wanna kind of move beyond that, so there are allegations of corruption, right? So we don't need to prove that there was or wasn't, that's not our job. But it is our job to provide oversight. And I kind of wanna understand, one is like 2 points of oversight that are obviously critical. 2018, who was the chair of the governance committee?
Not me. How is that?
She wasn't here. Okay, 2018, who was the chair? No, I
Yeah, I'm gonna have 2018.
2018, I have the
David
school
Trump?
What
board,
date?
and
Yeah.
we have,
Was it David Trump?
What was
there
the
are
date?
only two options, I'm sorry, Margie.
Yeah.
It's either you or Michael Shinazaki.
Michael
There
Shinazaki.
are only two who
I-
could be possible, because only you and Michael were.
I left in 2018, so
Yes,
right
you-
around,
It was March 1st,
Good timing.
2018,
Yeah.
and you are on this letterhead, and so is Michael Shinazaki. So it
Okay.
would be-
So
Michael,
the
Michael
next
took
question is,
over right after I left.
before we get
I
into
can-
governance,
I can
who was,
ask him.
who was the chair of the Real Estate Advisory Committee in
Howard
2018?
I
and-
think, Howard Polly, right?
Redac,
Yeah.
I'm not sure, I know that Howard is audit committee, I don't know. I
He
don't-
he
I'm
was
not
real
looking. I
estate for a
can
long
look.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so from what I understand, I'm not 100% sure, he's been the chair of both committees.
For a very
Real
long
estate is not even relevant to this issue, because it's not real estate.
It's not real estate.
Right.
Yes, it's not real estate.
So this contract never went through Real Estate Advisory.
Yeah, because it's not under their purview, it
Is
could
it
be operations.
Operation.
It's
That would
operations.
be
Yeah.
Michael
And who was,
Shinazaki. That would
Well,
be
it could
Michael-
be both, no?
And Michael Shinazaki was the chair of operations.
Operations.
Okay,
okay.
so I can ask him.
Okay, and then, because this is something we have to kind of dig into, and then obviously audit, from an audit perspective, because I know, and this is something that we're gonna have to follow up offline after that, I know that, Howard Polivi, as the chair of the audit committee, would call the CFO, would call the COO, would call the general counsel weekly, throughout the years. He would do that and just keep apprised and up to date on information. I would like to know his knowledge of the project that went through it. But in any event, we have to figure out, whenever you have an allegation or a contractor has an allegation of corruption, where does it go? How do they report that type of issue to the board? And do we have mechanisms in place to make sure that contractors are aware while it's happening, some sort of mechanism, both to say like, I'm not getting paid maybe, or mechanisms that say, I believe that there's corruption that's taking place. There needs to be some level of transparency to the board, and I don't know how we solve that, that's from like a governance question. How do we make sure that every contractor is aware that they have a place to go to if they can't figure out a solution with the administration?
Almost need an ombudsman or something.
Yeah, what?
Some places have ombudsman, you may have that here on the.
What is that? I'm sorry, I don't know.
Ombudsman for somebody to.
Ombudsman. What is that? I've never heard of that term.
It's like an interact, like an intermediary kind of.
Oh, like a board liaison.
Yeah, like liaison.
Oh, board
right.
liaison.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or for Mr. Gandhi to have gone to somebody at RIAC, which is.
Yeah.
Whether it's in the legal, a paralegal that you're personally.
Right.
with, or,
Okay, so I have.
There is a section in the contract itself, which is called Section 21, claims and dispute resolutions, and it's, I understand it's not about complaining, but there is a way for contractors to raise this, and there's all outlines, you should look at the contract. That's
From
the-
2013.
That's the governing document
Right.
for any contract.
But that's from 2013.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter, it's a standard form of contract for any contract by the state of New York.
Right.
This is a standard language,
Sure.
and the standard clauses.
Yeah, you don't need
Okay.
you don't need a governance policy on that, that's a
Right.
secretary general policy.
Okay, so, do we still need Mr. Gandhi? Because it's 4:00?
No, I feel like, and I don't know if you guys agree, but I would recommend for the team to work with Dr. Gandhi and come back to the board if it's, like you were saying, the full board or the operations committee to follow up on more specific things related to this contract.
All the above.
Right?
Okay, so,
So-
but we don't need him anymore for
No.
governance, right?
But could we all agree as a committee that we would invite you to work with the team so that you'll come to the operations committee and the full board thereafter? To figure out next steps.
So we'll recommend that. I want to thank you very much.
Yeah.
Mr. Gandhi, for
Sorry,
coming
not
here.
that I-
Nothing to be sorry about, we really
No,
appreciate it.
we're sorry.
All I want to get is paid, after
Yeah.
all these years, I mean, and we
Sure.
earned this money. We did not increase a dime in our hourly rate. Normally, every contract that we have with public agencies has an escalation clause based on the cost of living allowance.
And of course, we're not gonna talk about those specifics now, will that be moved to the team and the operations committee and then the full board? We really appreciate your
And
time,
all the
and
documents that, I think about 215,500.
We'll share it with the team.
It's there, I mean, all the time sheets and everything else.
Yeah.
so let me just do that.
Thank you
This is a
very
gift
much.
to you, because I'm done with mine.
Another stack.
Dr. Gandhi was printing, Drew was printing, legally.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So you guys gotta give, because I don't need to shred documents when I get home.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anderson.
Thank you so much. No, and I appreciate this information, because we could distribute that. So,
More power to you.
in case anyone wants to look at the technicalities. Yeah, so.
All right, so
We're going back to the bylaws.
back to the bylaws.
Oh,
Thank you
good.
so much.
Okay.
If anyone is bored by bylaws, you, let me share my screen.
I'll be there, Mr. Ekpo, on your 19th of September.
Yes,
Oh, the board
see you
meeting,
then.
5 o'clock, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you need anything, let me know. I mean, again, thank you.
I might have read all of your documents by the time September 19th gets there.
Well, you can.
All right, do you guys want to do a micro break or continue?
Yeah, let's take a 5-minute break.
Okay.
Take a 5-minute break, we just,
Yeah, take a water bottle with you.
We're wrapping up at 5 p.m. because I have to run to another meeting.
Yeah, we're done at 5.
Good.
I gotta read some stuff.
This is very interesting and very productive, by the way.
Yeah, okay, so maybe you might,
Yeah,
maybe you can do it then?
Okay, 4:15, we start.
Alrighty,
Here we go.
Be so quiet in the summer.
alright, let's see how far we can get with this thing. We're in page 7 out of 16.
We're at the
And
fun
we
one
have a
now.
hard close at 5 o'clock.
Hard close at 5 o'clock.
So once again, want to say that I have packed the agenda and we are not going to get to
Most of it.
Yeah,
most of the agenda.
which is reasonable.
Which
Yeah.
is why we have a beginning of September meeting. So I just want to make sure that that's on everybody's radar, okay? I
And-
sent emails out.
And I want to add into the protocol that I know there's conversation about how board members cannot meet because of open governance laws. I believe that is incorrect. As long as we're recording what we're doing and it's intended for a public meeting, it's completely fine. So although Lydia and I are not going to meet in person to talk about things, we will have online Zoom meetings which will invite all the committee members who want to participate to make edits to the bylaws or edits to whatever documents. All of them are recorded and they're all intended to be shared just like we're doing right now. So there's absolutely no law that prevents that. And we will be doing that going forward because obviously we have a limited amount of time and we want to get as many documents updated as we can. And with that said, I want to just talk really briefly. I'm not going to go into officers into like oh good, I said that before Lada was yours. Perfect.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
What did you say?
I said nothing of meaning.
Nothing.
Yeah. So we left off with officers, right? And I'm not going to go through every single paragraph here. Big picture, what we as a board or what we want to suggest to the board as a governance committee is that the board should have the only say on the hiring of the CEO, the hiring of the general counsel, the COO, and the CFO, and including also firing. So those roles should be only in the hands of the board. That's really the heart of the changes that we're
We
doing.
also have on the list,
Mhm.
what do they call it? Controller and internal control officer.
Right.
You already
the appointment.
appointed, yes, you already appointed.
You already
somebody.
appointed. Yeah, we already went
It's
through
already-
this.
What?
Yeah, we covered that.
We
part.
went through this already.
Okay. No, I just said like big picture, that so I'm gonna
Skip over.
skip
Yeah.
over it exactly. So,
And
and then I
it's
know.
more the firing piece of it, I think. The board already has control over appointing.
No, but it
They
was
have
like
to approve
May,
it.
May, fire.
May, we gotta
right.
do May and
So,
shall.
so really, the
Yeah.
whole point of it is like the board is the only one that could fire or terminate the CEO,
Right.
CFO, COO, general counsel. And I personally would also add, board liaison, which we'll talk about in a minute, which is just a person that will help. Instead of harassing Lada with emails 100 times, I just talk to one person, that one person then is more polite than I am, and goes back and forth and gets whatever information we need as the board. So I strongly recommend that. Originally, by the way, the story came, which is kind of interesting, David. We were appointed to the board we started being board members in June. And immediately when we joined, Gerald came to us and was an incredible advocate, and he was teaching us about the ins and outs of the organization. And he was telling us one of the biggest problems is that we don't really control, we don't have really any control or real access. And I know that at the time, and I'm not going to go into the legal stuff that were thrown, we all know about them. He continued informing us, but with all the information that he provided us, he did it at an incredible amount of risk. because they could have terminated him immediately. He wasn't an official whistleblower, but he had a fiduciary duty, which I have an incredible amount of respect for him, for the amount of risk that he did. He was getting gray hair from talking to me. Of getting fired
By whom?
by people who didn't want him to provide information to me.
At that
Who-
time,
who
it would have
would
been the
be-
CEO.
Who would be the CEO and the general counsel,
Shelton and Gretchen.
Shelton and Gretchen.
allegedly.
Okay.
So the most critical part there was that we were trying to, like, I started reaching out to multiple lawyers. I think I even reached out to Audrey at the time. I started reaching out to everyone. I reached out to the ABO, I reached out to the general counsel, I reached out to, the committee on
Open government.
open government. I reached out to so many committees to ask, what could I do to protect Gerald? He's about to quit because he was telling me he just can't do this anymore. I can't have him quit. I need to figure out some sort of layer that he's a bit less stressed. And then I came to the conclusion after talking to multiple legal advisors in government to appoint him as the board liaison and ratify in our bylaws that a board liaison has to be hired or terminated by the board. We then, as a board, we kind of met, like, in, Lydia and Michal and I created a memorandum because no one in the team would talk to us. And we offered an emergency meeting for August of that year. If you recall, there was an emergency meeting. And that was our agenda item. Our key agenda item is to appoint a board liaison that reports to the board that could only be fired by the board. That was dropped. And it was dropped for 1,000,001 reasons, not because we didn't ask for it. The whole point of the meeting was to have that board liaison. And Ruth Ann and her team advised us that they are the board liaison. But obviously, they didn't ask us. Yeah, no, but they didn't act as that, yes.
But I'm so sorry, that's actually you're laughing, but it's in our bylaws.
It is.
Chair of the board
Yeah.
serves the liaison between them, that's the reason.
100%.
Probably why would we need another board liaison, as the chair of the board already serves as liaison between the board and the management.
Perfect, so that's why we want to modify
We were
the.
spending like 10 minutes talking about this.
No, I wanted to
Yeah,
explain,
yeah.
I wanted to explain, like, the rationale before I read it out. So as we did that one, we removed the board liaison from the roles of the chairperson, and instead of that, we created a separate section, which is obviously open to debate of how do we configure it and how do we structure it. And we just started with something basic that says the chair of the governance committee shall direct the appointment of a board liaison between the board and senior management. And the whole idea behind it is that we have someone that's on the ground working here, and obviously I think we should add protections to that individual as well, because that individual might not be loved by every single department when they're asking questions and providing information to the board. So that, we put that as a really early draft. But the intent is to have someone that's on the ground, relatively junior, I think. That's not me, okay. Relatively junior, that will be able to provide insight and be able to work with the board, and that we reduce a layer of tension between us and incredible staff members, by the way, which I keep saying this to you privately and also publicly. I think you're incredible. And I think the level of service you do to this island, and I know you don't like being recognized too much. I'm a hot-headed person, I'll always be that. But I am grateful for your service. I am grateful for your service. I am grateful for your service on the island. I'm an incredible advocate of yours and have been for the last year that I've been here, and it will remain being that way, even if I will be hot-headed multiple times. And I think a good solution to that is having a layer in between Ben, who is hot-headed, and people who are kind-hearted and smart and don't know how to deal with Ben to be able to
work on it a little.
Yeah, I'm not going to work on it. I tried, but I'm not going to work on it. Okay. I'm not. I tried for like a week, and then I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. So that's part of the goal of having part of that goal. And by the way, like, and I don't want to like, we all recommend the whole board to give you a promotion. I hope that happens sooner than later. We said that privately, we said it publicly, we believe you deserve a promotion. I personally believe in that, and I would advocate for you at any point in any time, because I believe that you're worthy and you've done a lot for this island. And with that said,
Thank you, but I don't know how we shifted from our yeah, thank you.
It's in the works.
Yeah.
So with that said, does anyone have any, with that said, does anyone have any objections to the statement? Obviously, we could work on language and we're not in the process.
I would expect it. We don't need a liaison, we just need to work on our people skills.
That's right.
No, we need a liaison.
You don't need a liaison.
I do need a
You know,
liaison.
I have a question.
What kind of a general
I think
rule
we
in
strike chair
personnel
of the
things?
board of all
Yeah.
the powers. What is left for the chair chair of the board, because we're
Right.
taking all the powers. What's the purpose
It's-
of having
I-
chair of the board when chair of the board does not have any power of the board at all?
Right,
No,
It
that
cannot-
is, that is, right, it would be subverting the role of the chair of the board, which is already stated in the bylaws. We don't need a liaison, just work on your people skills,
No, absolutely not.
and we don't need to make up fictitious characters because of lack of people.
There's
Yeah,
kind of a
mine-
general rule in organizations.
Going back
where
to Gerald,
you never structure an organization around personalities.
No, it's not
Right.
about
Look
personality.
at the
but
way
per-
something is,
Exactly right.
yeah, it is
Let me-
right now.
uh,
Because if you could get along with everybody here, we wouldn't need to have anybody in between.
Not true, because
Okay, so-
Gerald was really the key person who enabled us to gain access, and without him, we wouldn't be here. And often enough, we still have those type of people that
But
provide
again,
us
that
with
was only an
information.
issue of personalities, because there was a group above him that you were worried about him getting fired and all that, and that can't work. You've got to structure the organization around what makes sense for the organization. You should be able to work with anybody you want to work to as a board, as a board member, and that's what we got to fix.
That was a unique time,
It was
right,
a-
where you
yeah,
could
hopefully.
pick
Yeah.
anyone or-
But-
Hopefully, it'll never come back. It wasn't, I had no problem when I was.
How do we prevent that from happening?
You're right.
That's
Right.
the question,
Right.
because it happened
No,
for
you're right,
over a
really,
year.
Over a year, yeah.
Over a year, we were new board members.
I know how.
Okay.
And-
That's the
You change may to shall when it comes to firing.
No,
Then
but I have to
The person
add-
that you're working
I
with,
noticed-
well, no, he shall be fired if he tries to impede what you want to do.
There is a position of chief of staff.
There is.
Mhm.
Is that person?
Yeah, Ada Morales.
Someone
Ada
who,
Morales.
you know, I need this document, I need that document, and could that be part of the,
Well,
I mean, that's, I'm not talking personality, I don't know.
No, and I have to kind of I have to put on the record, because we're making it as if it's a personality issue.
functioning Organization that chief of
Ben
staff-
Falla and Otto Conway, and Otto Lydia, and Otto many of the board members have full-time jobs.
Right,
And we send an email asking for something.
yeah.
We don't even remember we asked for it, and then 3 weeks go by and we don't get it. And it's not appropriate for us to need to allocate multiple resources. I'm not invoicing REAC for my time. I'm volunteering to try to make sure that we have better governance. So could I be softer around the edges? Sure, but if I ask for something and I don't get it, I don't wanna ask for it again. And I want someone to chase after it and get me the documents that
That's
I'm
what
asking
I'm
for.
asking in
That's
terms of
chief of
getting
staff,
the
perfect for chief of
particular
staff.
person and the personality.
You just copy her on what you're,
What is the role
yeah.
of chief of, I mean, Lotta's very busy, Mary's
Right,
very busy.
right.
Right,
So the chief of staff is to the president or the chair, is she, or both?
mhm.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's,
So
that's,
somebody's, you know,
yeah.
it's-
That's different from a liaison, you just
Yeah.
copy her, ultimately the board copies her, and she tracks,
Not knowing
she's kind of the
anything.
board's secretary.
In a normal function, the chief of staff would be,
Yeah.
I think, someone, right? That's
Yeah.
the board. I don't know.
Again, I go back to
Wait.
what Lotta said, we don't need this position, we don't need to create a fictitious.
And I'm not sure if you would take this on.
That's, I'm just asking.
Yes,
is the chief
exactly.
of staff-
I agree with Conway completely. It's chair of the board is liaison between the board and the senior management, and secretary, general counsel, or associate, like I'm performing the duties now, secretary to the board, whatever documents you need, we can provide it. You wanted the documents, Drew provided it, Mary Ann provided it.
Okay.
The only reason there was a delay, because I'm the only person with paralegal, one lawyer instead of three, because of the circumstances, and this, I physically cannot attend. We actually spent a lot of time trying to respond timely to all inquiries and requests for documents from governance committee, a lot of time. And Drew spent time, her staff was printing it, Mary is responding, but we have myriads of other responsibilities, and we're short-staffed, and that's why we are
Yeah, I
for
agree,
your
we're not
patience.
ignoring you.
No, I never.
Yeah,
And
we
again-
have, we're wearing so many different hats right now.
By the way, that's why I started the
So
conversation
can
by
I stop this?
recognizing
Can
it.
I stop this
Yeah.
right now? My concern is not with our current situation. Our current situation is as best as it can
Right,
be.
agreed.
I am very happy, thank you very much for all of your service, because it's been
Yeah,
wonderful,
I agree.
given the circumstances. My concern is what happened before the
Mhm.
executive team took over.
Right.
What happened during the time that there was threat to the organization, organization staff were communicating with board members,
Right.
that there was active, legal, the lawsuits that were preventing any substantive change, that was preventing the new board members from getting up to speed
Right.
in learning about the organization, so that we could have governance over the organization. And at that time, the chief of staff was working for the CEO, and we were being berated.
That was my question.
Right.
You know, I was being berated by the chief of staff.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't know, if that was my
Yeah.
question, if she also
Yeah.
was CEO for the chair of the board.
Right.
I mean,
She was
chief of
the
staff,
chief
She
staff for the CEO.
not for the chair.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
And I would like to add that also, just a matter of time, like, of course, we don't wanna harass you guys when we have a question. But if we knew that someone, their job is to have a to-do list until they fulfill that to-do list, then we don't need to, because then we just approach that person and say, hey, what's the status of this document, or what's the status of this item that we're inquiring about? It just reduces the amount of back and forth, which we're highly compensated individuals who work really hard, who wanna make sure that we're providing the governance that's needed. And as you know, we don't get compensated for it at all. And we're putting a lot of hours, like this meeting was about like 4 or 5 days of me, I took 2 days off of work to be able to do this. And I did it and I'm not complaining, I did that because I know it's important to do these types of stuff. But I think it would be incredibly beneficial for us to have someone that, don't call it board liaison, someone that, is the task person, that has a list of tasks and they know how to follow up with.
But we can assign this person to provide the documents, but it doesn't have to be in the bylaws. It's our
Yeah,
internal
I
organizational
understand
thing.
what
We
you're
can,
saying.
Yeah.
but again, this person, if you seek for certain documents, we have different access to documents. Some in legal department, we don't have a custodian of all the records
No,
of the
of course.
corporation. That's why we need to get it.
But that's why it's good to have someone that I don't need to be involved in that they could go behind the scenes and figure out the process. And I don't need to know the minutia of figuring out what department.
Human resource through, I mean, do you have a new human resource?
We do, but, I mean, the issues he's talking about, not human resources, and not personnel matters,
Right.
they're more
Right.
operational
The board
and,
issue.
and board matters.
Which,
Yeah.
right, which I
So-
definitely want to make sure we are mindful that the board of directors is not our purpose to direct the day-to-day operations
Mm-hmm.
We
of the
never,
corporation.
of course.
Because we are blurring that line a lot by talking about, we need staff to get my papers and do my copies and all this jazz, like that's.
No, that's our job as oversight to
And
check.
moreover, we need to be mindful of making these requests upon the REAC staff in the first place. They have a 9 to 5, which is not to cater to our every whim as board directors. So I want to put that out there.
I must say, and I'm not on the board, I have no idea how you all function or who asks for what or how you get it. But I have to tell you, listening to Mr. Gandhi, whether he's right or wrong,
Mhm.
whether he is, you are the, there was confusion and
Mhm.
communication all around.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not a big operation, REAC, right?
It's
I
a real
mean, you
simple
guys are all near each other,
organization.
like, how did it get so screwed up? You might, might be entirely not correct, but it's very confused,
Yeah.
and he had people working here holding flags or whatever they were doing, and they didn't get paid. So, to me, this does highlight there, I don't know the proper chain of things, but there's a communication issue. And even between, I must say, it seems like at that point, between the departments.
Right.
So I don't know.
It's hard to know without talking to the people who are actually here at that time.
Right.
We can speculate till we're blue in the face.
Yeah, but there's paper trail.
Yeah, but we need a person to be able to, like, contextualize that paper trail, and then, like.
True, but there were documents of how many
Yeah.
changes, amendments, when they knew.
Oh, yeah, they were all-
That they were never gonna pay us,
I read all these documents, by the way.
right? I mean, did I understand that?
Yeah.
You knew that he had reached the final payment, the 300,000, whatever it was, and after that point, amendments were being signed to pay him 99,000 or 50,000, whatever it was, 15. And somewhere, someone knew, no, he already exceeded, he already reached the limit of what we're paying them.
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah, I wish I had been there at the time, and.
but you're right, it's not
Like, there was
bylaws.
somebody you could ask, like, there's gotta be an explanation for what happened.
Yeah, we don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
Yeah,
taking a
I mean,
meta
Ken
step,
didn't know what the right
if
thing
I
was.
may,
Right.
if I may, taking a meta step,
That's one of the problems we always got with oversight. When I was on the board, if we would ask some questions like that, we heard from Albany, you're micromanaging, don't do that.
Right.
They know what they're doing.
Okay.
And we backed off more than we should. This, to me, was a whole new kind of contract. We didn't say, hey, did you get the contract down in
Right,
writing?
no, of
We
course.
just assumed that stuff was all being done.
Right.
But I blame the board for backing down when they did. That's how Fernando Martinez ended up in jail. We should have micromanaged him.
Yeah.
And we still don't and you don't micromanage everything,
No.
but you
No,
just
no.
poke around all the way in depth on certain things here and there.
Could I touch on that for a
Oh,
second?
absolutely.
Could I have just for a second to touch on that? So like, I don't believe we should be involved in daily operations. I do not want to be on the operation advisory committee because I do not want to talk about the bus schedule. But if a contractor sends me,
Bus schedule.
but if a contractor reaches out to me and tells me I was frauded
Right. Yeah.
and you owe me money and also there's corruption in this organization, I have a fiduciary duty to look into that. And I'm not gonna ignore them. And I don't want to bother or harass any one of the employees, of course, but it would be good for me to have a contact person that says, okay, I'm looking into this, these are the documents I'm missing, could you go inside of the organization and figure out how to get me those documents? So I don't have to do 50 emails back and forth to collect the documents within the organization, which I will do, because it's my fiduciary duty. And I will spend those 2 days if I have to, but it would be nice if I could get
Yeah,
help.
I mean, and one thing to you is you have
Right,
those people in front of you.
No, but I don't want to be in the middle
And they
between
will-
those people, I don't think you
And we
realize
will,
that.
and we will trust, they will delegate as they need to delegate within their office.
their department.
But I'm saying that I need someone on a macro level that I say, this is what I want.
We don't get
So,
personal
please,
assistance
please,
here.
please don't interject to me while I'm speaking, I respected you, but if you please allow me to complete my sentence. So I need 10 documents. I don't know what departments they sit in, nor do I want to know what departments they sit in. I want to send an email to one person. And that one person that works at REACT to then reach out internally to all the departments, take as much time as needed, and come back to me with the documents I'm requesting. I don't think that's asking for too much. I'm not a full-time employee at REACT. I'm not supposed to reach out to every department and ask for documents, and then for the person to say, it's not my department, and then go to another department, and then they say, I need to go to this person. I need a contact person, and you need that contact person also if you want to do your fiduciary duties.
I've had no problems getting what I need from the REAC staff the 5 years that I've been on the board.
So what did you ask for? Give me a
I
few
don't know what you're talking
examples.
about.
Give me examples.
I'm not gonna give you examples, I just told you.
Yeah.
I don't think we can assign somebody to do that, to be honest. You can certainly come to me, Lotta, and Mary, and we can, assign that task to our staff. And once they've compiled the information, we could just forward it to you.
Right.
Is there anything you're missing now that we haven't provided you?
One is, most of the information came like a day before the meeting. I did ask a day before the meeting to look into the SDS procurement. I want to see like the bids on them, because obviously it seems like something was, there's an allegation of corruption there. I want to see if there's any merit to it. So I would like to see everything related to the selection of SDS.
I think there was
Structural engineering, it's structural, that's the name of the firm.
So you want to see the RFP with
That's
the
a
rank and
different
rating?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's the biggest claim that Dr. Gandhi is saying, yeah.
That's right.
But I think I don't want us to overreact. I think there were issues with the last administration.
I'm not overreacting, I just want to
No,
look at it.
I know, but I mean, I don't want to shake the bylaws
Right,
because of what
right.
happened with one administration when you
Yes,
three guys came on. From myself on the board, if I said I needed something and I don't know what department or whatever, I would call Susan Rosenthal, or I would call Charlene Indelicato,
Right.
and they would go to the right department, and that was that.
Right,
And there was no problem, and that's the way it ought to be.
right.
So our liaison should be
Internal.
you right now, or the
Or the CEO, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
or
So let's
whoever.
But we have a set of secretary to the board already responding to the board functions related to the board meetings, related, if you need the documents, we have a secretary to the board already. This person already kind of is a secretary to the
Yeah.
board. You need documents, okay, it should be me at this point.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
We don't need any special position or special.
I don't think we need anything in the bylaws. I think.
No, I
we
think
talk about how
it's needed,
we're
but
gonna
how
work
about we
together
just
better.
write that, the
Yeah.
CEO would act as the liaison between the board and senior
Well,
management.
that changes
No, we don't need that.
yeah, I don't think we need that
But
either.
isn't that understood already?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a public benefit
Yeah.
corporation.
Yeah.
It has to be
But it's not understood, 'cause
responsive to the board.
It wasn't only Shelton and Gretchen. Ruth Ann would say, you're involved in operational matters, just like you said.
Oh, I see, because you want to avoid this in the future?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, all right.
Yes, that's.
Maybe that makes sense.
That was the big
Yeah.
thing, because when we were sitting,
Mhm.
we were seated, we would ask Shelton, we would
Right.
ask to,
Right,
Ruth Ann, we would
right.
ask, we would ask,
Right.
we would ask,
Yeah.
and we got crickets. So we're hoping to be able to structure something in the bylaws, so we would have access, or future board
Right.
members would have access to information
Right.
And I'm not sure that we can assume that there won't be obstruction.
There may
In
be,
the case
right,
of obstruction,
right,
because there was obstruction
Right.
for almost
Yeah.
a full year.
agreed.
I mean, look,
So
you
that's a
can't,
question.
you can't bylaw
Right,
against obstruction. I'm
I
sorry.
agree.
Okay.
And I agree with, I'm sorry, Audrey?
Margie,
Margie?
that's what.
That's Audrey's morning.
Audrey.
Yeah.
Good to meet you both. I agree with Margie. The bylaws don't need to incorporate this change. This is, you can't bylaw against obstruction just because you can't bylaw against, same way you can't bylaw against fraud, if there were such a thing, that happened during that last session. You should structure the organization the most efficiently possible, in the bylaws, and we do that already, as the law has pointed out. If you are running into, I'm not saying Drew would do this, but if you're bumping in heads with Drew, then you can go to Mary, then you can go to Lotta. We have the options to get what we need to effectuate our fiduciary duties as board members already. And I'm sorry that you had that experience when you guys came in. I wasn't here for that, but we can't legislate that grievance into the bylaws, because it happened to you guys. I get that, and it's unfortunate. But this is not a proper way to govern an organization going forward, based on the mishaps that were one-offs that you can't legislate against.
The only thing I would say is that the chair of the board is not the board liaison. And I'm fine with not adding a specific role, and let's just delete this whole liaison between the board and senior management, because the person that doesn't sit here and is not even in the office cannot act as the liaison, and they prove themselves not to act as the board liaison. So let's just remove that sentence of board liaison if we all think that it's not relevant.
I just think for a long time, and this goes way, way back to the beginning, we've had the tail wagging the dog. The president never felt that he worked for the board. He always
Right.
felt that he worked for the governor, and you
Right.
guys were in the middle
Exactly.
saying, please help me.
And they really worked for the housing community renewal, and we were just a
Right,
a
but I
rubber-
think we've changed that with the hiring and firing.
I agree. So
And
you say
so
let's
I
let
say
them
let's
keep
let
their.
that go. Let's try with that for a while.
Okay.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Shall.
Okay.
So we're keeping it, right?
It's a shall.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because chair of the board also means, chair of the board representative. If chair of the board person is not available, representative is performing her duties. It doesn't have to be really physically chair of the board.
I'm so easy to compromise with.
Yeah.
So what I'll say is. I didn't say I wasn't funny. So I am deleting the request for to let the chairperson remain the board liaison.
There you go.
But I do want to remove and serving as the primary, because I think that's not needed. So let's just agree that board committees liaison between those, so that they're still a liaison, they're not a primary liaison. We're just notching them down just a little bit.
The great compromise.
Okay.
Isn't that Henry Clay? Call you
All
Henry
right.
from now on.
Even if you don't put this.
Good, so, let's continue. So, the next one is including hiring and firing employee and officers. So I'm not gonna go into this bit, because I know we were gonna rework this,
Right,
right?
we're gonna rework
But we
that.
already agreed that only the board hires and fires the
Right.
select people that we talked about.
Right.
Now, there's one person we didn't talk about, which is who's the person that's been, Marcus acts as that as
As
the,
the deputy controller,
and who's the controller?
we don't have a controller.
Do we need
That
to have
was
one?
Joe, right? Wasn't it?
It's a vacant position, but I do not think we need one right now.
Okay. And what does the
Right.
controller do? Sorry for my ignorance.
Kind of, the CFO
Yeah, I
does.
know.
It's
Yeah.
kind
But
of-
do,
Is that the same person as the internal controls officer? Because
No, that's not the thing.
Right.
No.
Okay, so I'm just gonna move on. So let's finish this chapter. Talking about this bit, like we talked about, so I'm just gonna skip. Skip. Okay, financial transactions, I believe that this was changed by Arthur. I have no point of view on it, it's just like copy changes, I believe. Same,
Book voted to review.
so I'm just gonna skip ahead to books and records. That is good. Indemnification.
Indemnification. Easy for you to say.
Committees, okay, we added a new
Oh,
one,
my God.
committees.
Yes, we just moved it as a separate
I love
article,
it.
which was correct, and I think it was a suggestion from Audrey or Margie, to move it as a separate section, and it should be separate.
Okay, beautiful. So we have a second, more clear definition of, and here we're adding, what's this? That's Ben, whoopee. So it's Lydia and I. So this is for standing advisory committees. However, the nominations must be confirmed by consensus of the board of directors to ensure consideration of all board members. That just, it's just reasonable. I know it's reasonable, but it's needed. Committees can be composed of board members and non-board members at the discretion of the committee chair. Every board member shall be assigned a committee within 60 days of his or her appointment to the board, which I know that was your addition, Margie.
Yeah.
We wanted to make sure that you have a committee position in Conway. And anyone else, because I think when we joined, we were in nothing for 6 months.
Oh, easily 6
Yeah,
months.
yeah.
You didn't have a committee.
The chair of the committee shall coordinate the work of the committee with the executive staff. The chair of the committee shall coordinate the meeting dates and secure a quorum, which is not written this way allegedly. Spelling. Such a weird word, quorum. Okay. A quorum for the meeting. Anyone want to say anything about this bit?
I have a lot to say. I was waiting to comment to say something first, but this board and non-board at the discretion of chair, that's actually problematic, and that's something that we discussed and trying to see whether we can add non-board members to the committee. Currently, all our committee members, these are also board members, so all committees comprise of board members only. And this is something that I really want our outside counsel to look at this, because that's the question we all had.
I will tell you, because I was a little concerned about coming onto this committee as a non-voting board, and I did absolutely call Jeff Perlman and emailed him. And he, of course, was the attorney in charge of ABO before he became a judge last month, so I don't have as much direct. And he absolutely assured me it was okay as long as there had been a resolution. It just had to be done in public by a board resolution, or it had to be in the bylaws that one could sit.
Yes.
So I would not have come here if I thought there was any conflict of interest or any issue.
I would add that Gerald this time, because I was in ongoing conversations with him, he told me that he reached out to the ABO, to Jeff Perlman, and talked to him as well, exactly about this, and he was completely on board with that as well, that will enable, and the logic behind it, there's a lot of logic to it. We're not experts in everything, right? We're not experts.
We're actually supposed to be experts and have some knowledge on governance if you're
But no,
on governance committee.
if
That's why you.
No, I am an expert in governance.
But I am not.
Yeah, but if I may, I was trying to be humble, but,
Doesn't work for you.
No, so, but what, there's two reasons for this. One, that, we want to make sure that there's continuity for the future of the board. So I know that we have your board members that have been for a long time, but we also kind of want to scout over future board members and kind of provide options for them to kind of get their feet wet without them being officially nominated. So it's a kind of like a good way for people who are part of the community, if they care about an agenda item and they're expert. For example, if we had a structural engineer in the REDAC board, in the REDAC advisory, that would be really helpful.
That would be wonderful.
So really adding expertise to specific, would be incredibly beneficial. And then if they do a great job, then they could be recommended to the governor, and they could become actually board members in the future if a board member decides not to be here anymore.
I personally don't have any problem with having board members on committee, but let's think about this. The membership on committee cannot exceed the quorum of the board, which is 5. So the membership on any committee is limited to 4 people. We cannot make the committee.
No, but that's the language.
You will not be able to change it, because committee composition cannot be as the same as the quorum of the board.
Let's look at the comment to the.
But we're not, Margie and I are not part of your quorum.
Right, exactly.
Right.
But the number of people on committee cannot be, so if you want to have non-members, so one member of the board who is on the committee should go, and let this give the spot to outsiders. So there's also, again, not only that board members are not authorized to sit there at the moment, I mean, but the fact that the membership on any committee should not exceed the quorum of the board, and it's also in authorities budget, guidelines or somewhere else, it's not only in our bylaws.
Okay. check
Is
it
Is
out.
that in the legislation? I mean, is that something we can change in a?
No, it's not in legislation, because our, enabled legislation does not even address.
Just
this
committee,
issue.
right. Yeah, so that seems to me we can change that then.
Yeah, so it can be
Okay,
changed,
let's
but
change
at
it.
the moment,
There you go.
the membership on any committee cannot
Okay.
exceed the
Where does it-
quorum,
it's in the
it should be
current bylaw?
less than the quorum of the board. Yes, I think it's,
As we were doing committees, I don't remember.
Let's not solve that right now, but I added a comment.
and by the way, audit, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. The audit committee, when we established this committee, it actually had, and I think it's also in the bylaws that we say that the, non-board member can be some expert or, in finance from outside. We have it in our bylaws currently for
We
audit
do?
committee only, yes. But now committee is 4 people, audit committee. We cannot add anyone from outside.
So let's put a,
So we still have this option for audit committee.
let's just put it like a,
We can put this option for any committee.
let me just, we'll put a point on it. Well, let's look into it. I don't think we need to argue over it. We'll figure out, and the point of it is this. Is there any legal structure, we could ask CLM, is there any legal structure that could enable us to have invited long-term
Let's just change
experts?
the law that says it can't be higher
Or
than
change
more
the
than
law.
the quorum of the board.
Of this committee.
Take that out. You can have as many as you
Right.
want.
Board members. right?
And we have access to someone that has access to the senator. So let's figure out with CLM what law needs to change, and maybe we change the law.
I
and
think
then
I don't
go
think
back.
a
Isn't that in the,
You have.
yeah.
I think the language
I don't think it is
No,
either.
I think
the
we-
language,
The
because your
MTA,
committee can be
that's-
composed of board and non-board members. So I think you have to change that language.
Okay.
Because it's saying committee can be composed of board and non-board members. So
Where's
I
that
think
one?
It's the last sentence on page 13, or first paragraph.
Sorry, the video, there's,
It says,
so this is, what paragraph is section one?
it is section 1, yes, first
Okay.
paragraph, last sentence.
Last sentence?
Committees can be composed of board and non-board members at the discretion of the committee's chair. So I think the language has to be
Okay.
changed.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes,
Okay.
that committees only composed of board members, but that the
yeah.
committee chair can
only
invite,
of board
you know,
members.
consultants
Non-board.
or,
To be
yeah,
participants.
to be participants, exactly.
We're not members, we're participants,
Exactly.
or whatever you're calling us, volunteers.
Exactly.
Whatever, you want to
Non-voting.
non-voting members,
Yes,
yes.
okay,
Okay.
Right,
That's simple
non-voting.
enough, yeah.
yeah.
Non-voting.
I don't want to vote. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't care about not voting.
Well, how do we call it? Non-voting participants?
Right, because we're not part of the quorum.
We're volleys.
Correct.
Right. So we're not
Okay,
part of the quorum.
that totally makes
And then
sense
you
to
don't
me.
have-
Not voting participants, like expert in this particular, in the area of
Yeah.
this committee, so just doing it, so, because this is why
non-voting.
you're on this committee, because we have expertise in this.
Right.
Yep,
There's not any member.
And you should probably state that.
experts at the direction of the committee chair. Okay.
Mhm.
That-
I would even add, and for avoidance of doubt, the non-voting members do not constitute part of the quorum.
Right.
Right.
Who do not
Count in the quorum.
count
Or the
towards.
quorum, right.
I feel like a legislator, no.
This is awesome. That's exactly what we wanted. So I'm gonna remove the comment. It sounds like that we're on the same page now.
Okay.
Committee.
I do have one comment on the financial transactions. I will draft them and send it to you about investing activities.
Which one are we?
Huh?
Do we have any?
We don't, but what I would say, I would like to draft something
I think
where-
we
We
should.
have something on investing activities, there was some policy or something that
I was-
was approved on investments.
I was literally thinking about that. Do we have like $10 million in a checking account right now, or
We
we
do
invested?
something, we invested something, we went to the board.
I mean, we have about 7.7 million, about $4.5 million is invested in a US Treasury bill.
Like a bond.
So we're
right?
getting,
Right.
we're getting interest of like 5%.
Right, like a secure.
Not bad lately.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But of course, we would want to do conservative investments like that, that would bring us like high yield income.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, so, of course, at the board's direction.
Could go to
So-
like a poker tournament.
Well, no, it's
We are gonna be
very-
getting an influx
Yeah.
of money
Yeah,
as well.
for government
Yeah.
agencies,
Yeah.
our investment policy statement, we want an investment policy statement. And,
Yeah.
and what we,
Yeah.
I used to invest these when I was at Morgan Stanley. The government agencies are very limited in what they can
Right.
invest in.
Correct.
Stocks,
Mhm.
no alternative investments.
Yeah, it'd be very
Nothing
conservative.
crazy, no,
Yeah.
no crypto or
Real
anything like
estate?
that.
Yeah.
You're talking treasury
Yeah.
T-bills, very government backed, you
Fixed,
know.
like fixed.
Yeah.
So do you guys want to recommend whatever language for the
Yeah,
Let me draft it,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh, yes, and we do have actually a resolution the board approved.
So
for
maybe we could
investment
incorporate it into
certificate.
that, our bylaws, whatever.
I think it's from Damon, I think.
Could you share it
Yeah.
with like,
I need to find it,
Drew?
but I remember there
Yeah.
was something about investments that the board approved.
Okay, perfect.
We did a whole section on this. Do we need a whole section on non-voting committee working participants? Because we're not lawyers, we were trying to figure out language and how to enable it.
What do we, North?
At the discretion of the committee, yeah, I think we could remove this, right?
Probably so.
Yeah.
And I think
Okay.
Tyler gave us one sentence that.
Yeah, well, that's what we have lawyers here who
Yeah.
are talking to each other and, oops, what did I do? Did I just deleted too much? Okay, I'm gonna have to just delete it. Okay. Because I'm getting rid of section 3. Oh my God, sorry.
No non-voting.
You see, if I had a board liaison, they would do the edits
Yeah,
right now.
exactly.
We
And
spent
when
a
it's
lot of time on those
presented,
two
do that.
sentences.
Oh, no, board liaison is not necessarily
Yeah.
just like county appointed.
We
That's
could
what it
add that.
boils down to, is secretary, that's what it
It's true, I do need a secretary.
That's what it boils down to.
Yeah,
Might need to hire a personal assistant or something.
yeah. Okay, now that we're done laughing at Ben's expense,
We're never done laughing.
you never,
at
yeah,
that
fair
expense.
enough.
It's not gonna,
Okay, so, this was added by, by Lydia. The committee shall comply with ABO charter, yeah, that sounds good to me. Pursuant to article, we need to add like whatever legality. So basically, we're just saying that the committees will follow the ABO guidelines of committees, which sounds,
Responsibility, yeah.
especially because we report to the ABO, it seems like a good
okay,
addition.
where are you? Hold on a
Yeah, we
second,
can-
where are you?
In the governance committee, to make sure that the committee complies with the ABO charter, that totally makes sense.
Section 3.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
I like that, Alex, 'cause that's what we've been doing anyways, we go to the
Right.
ABO nonstop to figure out what we're supposed to do. The authority bylaws, okay, this is a long one, I apologize.
Hey, are we gonna take out constitutes 50% of the members plus one member?
Yeah, it's a simple majority.
It's simple,
But
yeah,
I think it's repetitive as
We
Oh.
kept that in another section as well.
Mhm.
so I'm just gonna
Yeah.
remove simple majority, 'cause I think like when Lydia and I were working on it,
No.
we're,
No, you're gonna
No,
remove
keep
the,
simple
plus
majority
one,
and
keep
remove
simple majority.
50% of one member plus one member.
so keep it?
Yeah.
get rid of 50% plus one and leave, and keep simple majority.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do, I started deleting.
Oh, you said I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
delete simple majority.
No, yeah, okay,
That's
sorry.
what you said.
What I said and what I do, simple majority, done. You were looking at the screen, oh, it's too small, there we go.
Too small.
Okay.
That's why I'm looking at this.
Yeah, no, sorry about that. I don't know why it's doing it that way. Could you, is that a touch, David, could you, I think I could fix it.
Now you're gonna make it bigger?
Well, you guys, I had like a
Five to
really
five.
good Zoom all the time. So this, we need to like figure out how
Ben, it hardly matters at this point,
to,
really.
yeah, you got.
Megan's not here.
Yeah, okay, let's just continue. Well, next time we'll, because it'll be a next time. Next time I'll work
It
with
will
IT
be,
to
yeah.
make sure that's full screen. For me, it's full screen, so,
It's okay,
Okay.
yeah,
that's okay.
so it's okay, yeah, exactly. Okay, so,
Wait, you wanna finish that sentence, it's a incomplete sentence at the moment.
Where
Which
are we?
one?
The one you were just deleting.
No, it's done, it just takes a little time to update.
oh, yeah, If there's an even number of-
Committee members, a simple majority, period.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No official committee can be conducted without a simple majority, right? So I just get rid of this
A
as well.
quorum will constitute, the quorum will be a simple majority.
Yeah, there you go.
I think a comma, right? Without a quorum present, a simple majority. And the lawyers will figure out the semantics beyond that. The intent is clear, I think. Okay, so now there's a really long paragraph here. I'll read it relatively quickly. Hopefully we could do this in the 3 minutes. So the committee shall, and I believe we copied this from the ABO, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah. So I'll just read it really quickly, and then obviously the lawyers could play with it. The committee shall comply with the ABO charter pursuant to Article blah, Section blah of the authority bylaws. The purpose of the governance committee is to assist the board by keeping the board informed of the current best practices in corporate governance, reviewing corporate governance trends for their applicability to the name of the authority, updating the name of the authority. As you can see, this is like copy paste. Updating the name of the authority's corporate governance principles and governance practices, and advising those responsible for appointing directors to the board on skills, qualities, and professional or educational experience necessary to be effective board members. Meet with and obtain any information it may require from the authority staff. obtain advice and assistance from in-house or outside counsel, accounting and other advisors as the committee deems necessary, solicit at the authority's expense persons having special competencies. So this is like, sometimes you can't get like a structural engineer and you just need one for a specific matter. So it's good that the chair could invite someone that would be helpful. So I'm really happy that we figured that language out. Where was I? The governance committee shall have the authority to negotiate terms and conditions of any contractual relation subject to the board's adopted procurement guidelines as per Public Authorities Law, Section 2879, and to present such contracts to the board for its approval. It shall be the responsibility of the governance committee to accomplish the objectives of good governance and accountability. The governance committee has responsibility related to the authority's board, evaluation of authorities' policies, and other miscellaneous issues, including, and we kept that was there, a simple majority of the members of the committee shall constitute a quorum. I don't think this is all, I think, like copy paste from ABO stuff, so.
You technically put the entire charter for audit.
Right.
Committee into the bylaws, I don't know, what's the point of having a charter, what's already?
I think like if you
I think
quoted,
it clarifies things.
yeah, it does,
Given a lot of the
yeah,
communication issues.
yeah.
Okay, so I need to say this.
Then
We
it
have
should be the
1
same for
minute-
any other.
I think they did
1
it
minute
fine.
until 5 o'clock, and we
Yes,
have
we
a
need to
hard
resume.
close
Hard
at
close.
Yeah.
5 o'clock.
Yeah.
So we got 1
Alright.
minute.
So I think we're done for today. I don't think
Yeah,
we should
I think
dig
we're
more,
great.
right?
Right?
I think we did a
We're okay.
fantastic job
All
today.
right?
So are we meeting on
The
September?
next meeting should be
With
September.
outside counsel of the government.
Oh, it's CLM,
Yes,
awesome,
with CLM, you will have a legal session.
beautiful.
With outside counsel.
Okay.
Oh, that would be privately before,
That's legal, yes.
yeah.
Next-
But then we're gonna invite them to the next governance
Yes, and then
committee.
we will discuss what's the scope of the engagement of the council. Yeah.
But we know that we have like a date that we want the next governance committee.
Yeah,
meeting.
Governance committee.
So
Yeah,
we
the
can-
next,
And when is that?
Tentatively for September 4th, but there,
Right.
now we have other meetings happening next
Of
week.
course.
And I don't know how.
So
but
tentatively, we want to do another meeting on September 4th. And as been advised earlier, David and everyone else, we're working on an emergency board meeting, that was requested by Faye and a plurality of other board members to hopefully help solve the problem with the buses, which the whole team is
Very
kind of in a panic mode to try to figure out.
Yep.
So hopefully we'll convene soon and hopefully have a solution for the bus situation.
and hopefully,
You're doing a great job with buses, for what you're dealing with, you've done a
Yeah.
great job.
so hopefully, the next meeting on the 4th, tentatively, we will get to the rest of the agenda.
Yep.
Because we only got
Yeah.
to 2 pieces of the agenda, and I had a couple more pieces on the agenda. So
But the
hopefully
bylaws
Yeah.
are really worthwhile.
And I would just add that Lydia and I and anyone else from our advisors or committee members will continue working with CLM once they're seated over the next few weeks to fill up whatever's missing, so that next meeting we could go over it, and it'll probably be a long meeting as well, but at least it'll be one that will run a bit faster.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
This meeting is
Adjourned.
adjourned.
Adjourn, oh yeah, are you supposed to officially say that?
Officially, yes,
Yeah.
yes, you have to. We gotta make a motion to adjourn and get a
Make a
second.
motion to adjourn. Do
I second.
Yeah.
Moved,
All
done.
in favor? Aye.
Aye,
No,
aye.
Molly's can't.
5:02 PM, meeting adjourned.
Exactly.
5 PM, meeting adjourned.
I think it's a thing twice,
Thank
right?
you, so.
And this was 4 hours and 14 minutes.
Oh my God.
Drew, could we follow up with the team to make sure that they have the MP4 file, so I don't have to?
Sure. Do you want me to go visit her?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, no problem. I'll,
Yes, thank you for hosting.
let me go get it. Yeah. I'll be back after Labor Day, because I'm going the week before. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.